Hey, good Tuesday evening, everyone. State Representative Brad Halbrook with a Tuesday night edition of the Illinois Freedom Caucus Roundtable as we continue to carry the banner for truth, logic, and common sense throughout the state of Illinois. Tonight, I'm joined with Representative David Freese from the southwest corner of the state, Representative Dan Caucus from Decatur, kind of in the center part of the state, and State Director Colin Mosley from the southeast corner of our great state of Illinois. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
Hey, real quick, let's just give a real quick 60-second kind of open welcome from your neighborhood, and let's go Representative Freese and then Representative Caucus and the State Director Mosley, and then we'll get into our presentation for the evening.
Hey, Dave Freese here, 115th, all of Randolph, Perry, in Monroe County, and a couple other towns and side communities. Absolutely loving Southern Illinois this time. Phenomenal weather. Just it's great to be outside right now. And my tomato plants are loving this for whatever reason. So yeah, we're covered in tomatoes and we're making salsa.
Great. Usually everybody's tomato plants have become infested with fungus or whatever by now and have wilted into a pile, but thankfully yours sounds like they're doing well. So
right now they got a late start, but they're kicking butt.
Good. Dan.
Hey, how's everybody? Great to be with you this evening. Things are going well here, Macon County. We're having beautiful weather. And like David, tomato plants are still producing. We're still getting fresh tomatoes. Had made BLTs last night for dinner. So all is well here. Looking forward to the next couple of weeks. I know we'll be together here soon. But all is well, and really appreciate y'all putting this together tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Well, gentlemen, we've been on the road the last couple of weeks. We've done a couple of town halls kind of up in the northeast corner of the state. And Director Mosley, thanks for setting that all up and setting up tonight's live stream. Kind of kick us off and welcome here this evening.
Well, you're absolutely right, Brad. We've had great town halls across the state, just people that are turning out engaged and they want to hear what's going on in Springfield. They may not always like what they hear, but they certainly want to be informed. And so we're going to do more of those town halls. We're going to discuss that today at the end of the presentation, where we're headed next. But it's been a blessing to travel the state, speaking truth, logic, and common sense. And so, you know, to everybody, I'll chime in on the tomato plant conversation. My tomatoes got planted late too, but they're doing really well. You know, they're growing as fast as our national debt, and my watermelons are turning out good too. Now, my corn and my beans performed about as well as the evidence-based funding formula for Illinois education. They got mowed down pretty quickly. Just it was too wet. But everything else is doing good. So,
well, evidently you're not putting enough inputs into that crop
right.
for the outcome. Maybe you put too many inputs in for the outcome of that crop.
I should have called the IEA and asked them how to grow my corn. They may have been able to give me an object lesson.
Yeah, well, that's been interesting discussion also. Well, hey, gentlemen, let's get into our slides for this evening. And to that point, so DNC took the stage last night in Chicago. And it's turning out to be a disaster already. Let's go right into our next slide. And wow, what a place to have the Democrat National Convention in the murder capital of the nation. And we continue to see that they kept the shooting gallery wide open going in this past weekend.
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, having lived in the Chicago area, I went to law school in Chicago, worked downtown for several years before coming back to God's country. It is really sad to see what the Democrat policies have done, not only to our state, but specifically to Chicago. It is an absolute disaster and sad, really is sad. And I really feel sorry for anybody that lives in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
I totally agree. I mean, and we've said this before, we can say it again. Chicago could be a beacon. Illinois could be a beacon.
Oh.
There's every opportunity there for it to be a thriving place. Yeah, sure. You're always going to have some crime. You put that many people together in one place, you're going to have some crime. But when you have absolutely no desire to control crime, it's out of control. So
fill the place up with, tens of thousands of illegal aliens.
Yeah, that's going to help.
No job opportunities. I mean, I say none. They're, minimum wage or low wage opportunities for the most part. You have a failing education system who produces young people who can't read, write, or do math. Mm-hmm. And the only thing, it leads to chaos. And that's what we're seeing, unfortunately. I mean, it's 30 years of Democrat rule in Chicago. I mean, every major elected official in Chicago has been a Democrat.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We've had African-American leadership in the police force. It's been it's a disaster. And then for Joe Biden last, Monday night to stand up and talk about gun control. And he was right. He said one of the things that he said last night about when he was talking about, gun control, crime, is that the young black men are more likely to die from a gunshot by another black man than any other cause of death for young people. And none of those folks are FOID card holders, concealed carry card holders. So the problem isn't the legal gun owners. Again, the problem is the lack of opportunity, the crime, the lack of their legal system holding people accountable. I mean, look at that. 33 people last week. 33 people shot. Fortunately, only one died. But still, those families, I mean, it's a social crisis. And gun confiscation and assault weapons bans, none of that is going to affect what's going on in our major cities. It's not going to happen. It has zero effect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think this quote here, John Tillman of the American Culture Project, talks about more and more Chicagoans no longer see a future here with 9 consecutive years of population decline. The soaring crime, failing schools aren't the only culprits either. Democrats have pursued their wildest tax dreams in both the city and the state. We see these 3 billboards on the right here that are posted by wire points that it talks about the jobless rate. Nation's highest, the doubling of the gas tax, second highest in the nation, and the outmigration of jobs. And this is just 241,000 people just in the last 4 years. It's the 3rd worst in the nation. I mean, it's all these crazy policies that Springfield or the majority party thinks that, this is going to make it better, and it's absolutely not.
I'm sure if you ask J.B. Pritzker, Chicago's growing. Because Illinois is growing too, according to J.B. Pritzker. I mean, but the other thing that I think is so important to know about all this stuff is there's not a single thing on this list that is not a result of bad public policy. Mm-hmm. And the people that have been in charge, I think Dan said it, people, decades. Mm-hmm. Where's the accountability? It's the definition of insanity to keep electing liberals and think they're going to solve your problems. These people have legislated their friends and neighbors into poverty, into unsafe neighborhoods, into failing schools. Nothing's going to change about their agenda, certainly not with the Harris Walls ticket at the top of their list. I mean, right. It's the definition of insanity to keep electing people that are doing this to you.
Right, exactly. Gentlemen, let's go to the next slide here. Maybe. There we go. Hey. So chaos. Wow. The protests. And of course, one of the commentators I heard on Monday says, there's always protest around Democrat national conventions. And then you add in the fact of Chicago. So it's like a twofer that you get in Chicago.
Yeah. And it's really, they're haters. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. I really think they're just miserable people. They bitch and moan about everything, and they think the United States is the worst place on the planet, but yet they still live here. My thought is, look, if it's so bad, go someplace else. Go just pick up and leave. There's nothing stopping you. Just leave.
Well, if it's so bad, why have millions of people illegally cross the border to get into
Right.
this country.
Yeah, they risk their life to come here.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, it's terrible. You know, I'm going to steal a joke from last night. I mean, things are so bad in Chicago during the DNC with all of these protests and crowds that you have to wait almost 2 hours for a carjacking to get your car. It's anyway. Joe told me not to tell jokes. It's probably this isn't going to go over well. No, but it is. This is what's going to happen to this country. I mean, this is the direction. These are the kinds of things. And you listen to what President Biden said in his speech Monday night about the good people that are out there protesting. He understands all the folks that were out there protesting and their position. And then on the other hand, he criticizes Donald Trump over Charlottesville over an erroneous lie. Yeah, it's a lie. You're right, David. They twisted what he said into a campaign speech, and yet Biden said exactly the same thing, and in context about these anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian protesters. This is a dangerous time, and I don't get it. I don't understand why the Jewish community puts up with it. It is an absolute, I think, on the brink of a huge, full out war in the Middle East, which will shut down the oil, will cause massive economic problems throughout the world. And, Kamala Harris and her running mate are prime proponents, I think, of this war, of starting a war. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Democrats used to be the party of peace. Mm-hmm. Now they're the party of war. Mm-hmm. And I don't get it at all.
Yeah. Well, they were the party of peace, and now they're the part of piecing out bodies, whether it be babies or genitalia. I mean, and you look at these images. One thing that strikes me is the contrast from the RNC is so bizarre. The RNC, we had a Hulk Hogan, tearing off his overshirt to reveal a Trump Vance shirt, right? We had people that were excited, and then you've got on this side you've got a demented old man talking about how he and Kamala are going to strengthen illegal immigration. And by the way, you got a one-stop shop for a Planned Parenthood mobile abortion clinic. Make your appointment now. I mean, it's a joke. I feel so bad for the DA.
They're already booked. There's no appointments available.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I feel so bad for the law enforcement. I talked to some friends yesterday at the RNC. People were buying the cops coffee, shaking their hands, saying thank you. They were a little bit of protest because that's just the way it is in politics. But man, just the contrast. If I was the CPD, I would have a blue flu, and just imagine if half the detail just didn't show up tomorrow. What a mess. And it's just disgusting to see the way these people treat the law enforcement detail. And by the way, they're stuck there protecting people that would just as soon defund their departments or them lay down their lives in the name of social justice. It's a joke.
Oh, great point. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Gentlemen, let's go on to the next slide as we kind of wrap this up a little bit. And there we go. And so be on the lookout for our next event. Hopefully, we're going to kind of schedule some things in 3 different counties around the state. Colin, anything you want to add here to this?
Nope. Just these town halls are great pieces of information. I know Dan and Brad have done several of them already. So have I. I think also I forgot to add this, but I hope we're going to venture down to Mr. Freeze's territory sometime this fall. And David's also got a fundraiser coming up too. We need to plug next week. But these are great events, and look forward to you joining us there.
Yeah, exactly. And if the slide will advance here, there we go. IllinoisFreedomCaucus.org, and you can just add a /donate on there if you'd like to contribute and be a part of our effort. And then the Substack has every week or every other week we have an e-news that goes out with lots of good information. And so, gentlemen, with that, any last closing comments before we close out for the evening?
No, it's good seeing you guys. It's the only bad part about not being in Springfield. I don't get to see you guys as much.
Well, you're aging well.
We did have lunch last week. That was good with Kathy Salvi.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I listen. I am so impressed with her. I think she's going to do a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we hope so. And she did well at the Republican Day on Thursday, and we get to for those of us who was there, we got to catch up with some of our colleagues and some of our constituents that were there, kind of find out what was going on around the state. We had to dodge the rain for 20 or 30 minutes, but it turned out to be okay. It wasn't a complete washout, and so it went really well. Yep.
It's good.
All right. As always, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate that you'd like, share, follow, and subscribe to our content to help us overcome the algorithmic gods of the big tech overlords. And we have to continue to bleat this message out. And without you, it's very difficult. So we need you to participate in this process. And we look forward to seeing you real soon. And with that, good night, everyone.
Take care, guys.